Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things 33 with Kevin and Sons. And you know what? It's pretty wild to see the amount of backlash that has come against Disney's live-action recreation abomination of Snow White. And ladies and gentlemen, it has been coming from all sides. As we've documented very well on this channel over here, the trailers have gotten absolutely ratioed into oblivion by all the fans out there, completely and totally dissatisfied with this absolute abomination that they're trying to put out there, call it a live action, but all of a sudden you've got a bunch of CGI dwarfs, not to mention all of Rachel Ziegler's comments about how the original story was very antiquated and dated, and it was just weird. And yeah, needless to say, this movie is going to end up turning out to be a disastrous dumpster fire at the box office, and even with the Hollywood media out there trying to run cover and spin, it is not going to work. But one of the beautiful things, boys and girls, is to see somebody outside of the commentary fan actually bash Disney, and well, that's exactly what we've got, boys and girls, because the little people are revolting once again and calling Disney out for absolutely all of their BS nonsense. Disney's Snow White dwarf controversy explodes as little people actors slam studio. Disney claims CGI characters were always the plan despite leaked set photos. Yes, Disney lies. Color us shocked there and tries to rewrite its own history once again, and now they're getting called out for it again from another person of the dwarf community, and it is a beautiful thing to see because, of course, Disney's always the one out there saying virtue signaling. We want to present underrepresented groups and yada, yada, yada. But of course, because one moron out there ran his mouth, tried to burn bridges for all of the rest of the little people out there and pull up the ladder behind himself, well, of course, it did not turn out. And Disney, as always, did a knee-jerk reaction, which I'll actually understand what any of the fans, the audiences, or, of course, the actual dwarf community felt about things, not just one stupid talking head out there. So we're going to check out this article from thatparkplace.com, getting all of the juicy details and tell you exactly which people from the dwarf community are calling Disney out now. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we just crossed 1,600. We're on our way to 17, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Let us know what you think about this. Is it another joyous, wonderful thing to see Disney getting bashed by somebody that they claim from an actual underrepresented community that they decide to completely and totally exclude from their movie? Or do you actually believe, Disney, you're one of the pixie dusters out there who actually thinks that, of course, CGI was the plan all along in a live-action remake? Anyway, let us know what you think about that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. All right, from thatparkplace.com and our dear sweet Montanero. The Snow White backlash isn't going away. If anything, it's getting worse. Now Disney is getting hammered by little people, actors incensed with the company's decision to use CGI dwarfs in the troubled film. And I don't know if it's intentional or not, but I mean, like, the dwarves are minors, right, in the movie, so hammered, ha-ha, hi-ho, it's off to Disney we go, smash! So yeah, I love it. After Disney scrapped live-action actors in favor of CGI dwarves, little people actors are speaking out against the studio of robbing them of job opportunities. Meanwhile, The Hollywood Reporter originally admitted that Disney had changed course, but quickly edited their article to claim that CGI dwarves were always the plan, raising serious questions about the studio's influence over media narratives. Well, I think we all kind of know what kind of influence they've always had over the quote-unquote legacy media and the narratives they try to spin. By the way, do you believe that Captain America Brave New World actually cost $180 million? Yeah, I've got some oceanfront property in Arizona to sell you if that's the case. Little people actors speak out against Disney's decision. Actress Chapman, who has appeared on Little Women L.A., slammed Disney for choosing CGI over real actors. It's a movie that's supposed to have real dwarves. Instead, Disney chose to use CGI to replace actors and actresses that are little people that are very talented. And absolutely, we've seen, and it's this is such a weird thing to happen. We know this only happened because of Peter Dinklage and all of his kind of BS nonsense, but dwarves have always been cast in movies and television shows. It's one of the few places these people can actually get a job to where they can support themselves. They don't have to live on the government teat of disability and stuff like that. They can actually go make something themselves. Or wrestling. We have some great Cornswoggle from wrestling and stuff like that. There's a lot of great examples of this. But of course, Disney, although they claim to want to do, we want to represent underrepresented communities. Well, yeah, guess what? They screwed over literally 7 dwarf actors that could have gotten their faces on a big screen in a quote unquote what's not going to be a blockbuster now, partly because of this reason, but they could have seen themselves on the big screen, which, that's something that a lot of people love to dream about. There's a lot of people out there that would love to have that kind of thing happen. But hey, guess what? It wasn't her either, because husbandos got her back. Her husband, actor Matt McCarthy, echoed her frustration, saying Disney's decision effectively shut out little people from 7 key roles, not to mention like merchandising options and like, extra money later on down the road, like all kinds of things they could have got worked out in their contracts. That's 7 roles right there, he said. 7 little people that could have filled those roles. And unfortunately, we were shut out of that opportunity. And obviously with like AI and people talking about like the like and image thing and all that kind of stuff, that's something that's only going to become more prevalent going forward. And like at least they're seeing what's going on. Chapman emphasized that Hollywood should stop replacing real people with CGI, especially when those roles are meant for little people. This isn't the first time Hollywood has done this. The Warner Brothers film Wonka used a CGI-altered Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa, roles that originally went to little people actors in the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Now, whether that was just because they were trying to be cheap or they really wanted Hugh Grant as the Oompa Loompa in that, maybe to bring a little more star power to it, I don't know. But once again, I mean, there's scenes in that movie where even if you only hired like 10 of them, you could have like duplicated them all over the room and stuff like that. Like that would have been 10 people that had jobs for the duration of that movie. It would have been great, but nah. Couldn't do that because apparently it's racist to hire short people for dwarf roles. I'm so confused. These criticisms add to the growing backlash over Disney's handling of the 7 dwarfs, with many pointing out the hypocrisy of claiming to be progressive while actually removing real-life representation for little people. And of course, Peter Dinklage, like what we alluded to earlier, burning the bridge behind him? Yep, because he had no problem taking dwarf roles before, even though he claimed he was an actor who didn't want to do those kind of things. Yeah, actually, we've got several roles where he got a fat paycheck for playing exactly what a dwarf. But after his foot was in the door and now he can get more serious roles than an actor, well, no, you can't have that. You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that effing backwards story about 7 dwarves living in a cave together. Dinklage said, "What the F are you doing, man?" So, of course, Disney did what Disney does and had a knee-jerk reaction, which, of course, caused a bunch of backlash with the audience, the fans, and, of course, the entire little people community out there. Many little people actors have since accused Dinklage of pulling the ladder up behind him. Having already been a successful Hollywood career player playing dwarf characters, he pressured Disney into removing roles that have given other little people opportunities. Exactly. He wants to be the only one on top of the hill, right? He doesn't want anybody else to be able to succeed in the same way. He wants to get the attitude that I'm so much more evolved than the rest of you, even though he did the exact same thing. And now he's just denied 7 other people out there at the exact same chance that he had by taking those exact same roles. He's bashing it. And like we said here, Hornswoggle called him out. We covered this at the time when it initially did this and it appeared on the news talking about all this, completely and totally bashes him, and he's absolutely right. Diane Posto, a professional wrestler formerly known as Hogswoggle in the WD, also appeared on Disney film Muppets Most Wanted, blasting Dinklage for what he did and the media interviews with major teams like Tucker Carlson and Piers Morgan, and apparently these guys Montanaro as well. And so, of course, we go back to the flip-flop, right? Basically, this is coming out. They're saying, well, the CGI was always the plan right from the very beginning, yada, yada, yada. And of course, the Hollywood Reporter initially published their article saying that Disney did indeed change their ways and go towards CGI versus the live action like homeless people from San Francisco that they were going to use, obviously, as you can see from this picture. But of course, the Hollywood Reporter is on the Disney teat, so they edited it out because, well, that doesn't fit the narrative around Disney. No, they weren't influenced. They weren't pressured by Peter Dinklage. No. Except, obviously, we've got the live action set photos that we saw the last couple of years. Like, this stuff was all over the internet. This was a great thumbnail material, boys and girls. So guess what? The internet's forever. Hollywood Reporter, you can lie for Disney all you want, but we know the truth and we've got the receipts for it. So yeah, literally leaked problems over there. So Disney's Snow White disaster is only getting worse. What started as a bad PR move has snowballed into a full-blown scandal. Little people actors are furious at Disney for cutting them out. Peter Dinklage is being accused of hypocrisy, and Disney is now trying to rewrite history through media allies like the Hollywood Reporter. And we already know it's not going to work, right? The box office is looking absolutely abysmal. The pre-sales are in the toilet. The estimates, basically, at the best estimates, are like $68 million for opening weekend, with a movie that we have no doubt probably cost anywhere between $200 to $300 million to produce, especially with all the changes they had to make behind the scenes. I mean, the fact that this movie was announced like 5 years ago and is just now coming out. Yeah, needless to say, this movie cost them a lot of money. And if they are doing it at $68 million opening weekend, there's no way this movie ever makes a profit, because this ain't going to work in the international international box office either, just like Captain America Brave New World didn't either. Nobody wants this. No fans of the original series want this, of the original story want this, and now you've got Rachel Zegler out there being the insufferable twat waffle that she is, completely and totally tanking any kind of positive relationship you could have had with the fans where they might have actually have given this a chance. I mean, I bring this example up all the time. I loved Brandy's Cinderella in the 90s with like Queen Latifah as the fairy godmother. It was great. It was wonderful. Everybody loved it. Nobody questioned that in any way, shape, or form. And they would have done the same thing here with the Snow White one if Rachel Zegler would have opened her big fat mouth and said so many dumb things. And also the kind of stupid casting choice to make us to where we have to think that for somehow Rachel Zegler is fairer than Gal Gadot. Yeah, it was never going to work. This movie was destined to fail right from the very beginnings of the casting choices they made. Because of course, diversity, inclusion, and equity is the most important thing over there at Disney, Bob Iger's Disney, and look, now it is falling flat on their face, and this is just the latest example of this. So this movie is going to absolutely bomb at the box office, and I am glad to see it. It's one of them situations where this is going to be a disastrous dumpster fire. It's going to be an absolute flop, and now we've got more people in the dwarf community out there calling them out, and that's exactly what has to continue to happen. The hypocrisy, the lies, the double standards. We have to continue calling out these mega corporations, because the only reason these mega corporations exist is because we fund them. That's why you've seen the turnarounds at Disney. That's why you know that Snow White and the CGI abominations is now going to be a disastrous dumpster fire at the box office. It is going to cost the Walt Disney Company hundreds of millions of dollars on top of the tens of billions of dollars they have lost over the last few years going down this exact same path. And guess what? Disney ain't the almighty giant that it once was, and everybody, even the little people, the actual little people, are calling them out, coming out of their caves, coming out of their mining operations, and taking the hammer to the Walt Disney Company in the public sphere exactly as they deserve to get, because you have screwed over 7 dwarfs from getting actual jobs, be able to see themselves on the big screen out there, all because you listen to one guy who literally looks like he now embodies the whole I'm drunk and I know things, because he looks lit in almost every single interview, and he's just a miserable little person, quite literally and figuratively, and now you have ruined the chances of 7 other people, and you are getting called out for it, and you are going to get your just desserts when this movie costs you hundreds of millions of dollars, because it is going to be a box office flop, guaranteed, and even the little people know that too.